No, I mean, amazing for a first version. It's got a lot of things we're going to change quickly, such as, for example, adding closets to all the bedrooms. Very basics.
Can you start again with that?
Yeah. Oh, so we need to start here with the.
Film the whole intro, huh?
So this heat pump right here is running completely off the grid. We've got 6 kilowatts of photovoltaics in this house. This is the first build in sweet Maysville, Missouri, which is going to be a universal hub pretty soon once people start signing up for the Future Builders Academy. Let's take a look at the inverter that runs it. So we've got 6 kilowatts of solar. This is a sun-gold power inverter. It's a hybrid inverter, which means that so the solar panels are feeding in at about 400 volts DC and gets converted into household power AC 240 or 120. Hybrid means that if there's not enough power from the sun, like right now it's sunny, so we're getting about 6 kilowatts. If there isn't any, if it's night, obviously, at night this thing shifts to suckling from the grid according to the proportion that the sun doesn't have. So that's a hybrid inverter. And that's the basic system of that. And it's regular garage, 2-car garage. But the important thing is, like, we're working on modules in the workshop right now. These are the same ones. They're just 9 feet. And the next step on that is, we didn't do a lot of this yet, but build, like for example, electrical outlets or water fittings and everything else. Build that right into the panels. That's the next step. We call them quad modules. So it's got mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and structure all at the same time. So you effectively, by the time you install the modules, you've done your plumbing and electrical, which is a big deal. Let's look at some of the electrical. Oh yeah, so I want to show one thing, for example, like these are called kinetic switches. So this switch is actually wireless. It doesn't have wires running there. It's kinetic, meaning the physical motion of doing that generates a pulse of electricity. It's got a little dynamo in there, and it sends an electrical signal to there. So there's a receiver in there, but this reduces the wiring requirement for your lights by half. You just run it to the light, not to the switch. So that's part of that. And because of Zillow lead hijacking, where we couldn't sell the house ourselves, we hired Berkshire Hathaway. Here's the water system. So this is a mini tank heater. It just takes 1.5 kilowatts, so this is off-grid solar. Now, if you got like 10 people taking showers at the same time, then it kicks into the on-demand water heater. Now that's not solar because that takes 14 kilowatts, but you have unlimited hot water supply, like 3 gallons per minute. So that's electrical. Now you see, so there's hints, like inside those walls you will have a bunch of different electrical and water connections, so you can build those modules with that already pre-installed. So when we put in this wall module, we're done with electrical and plumbing.
So like in this house, these two or three wall modules had the plumbing built into them.
Exactly.
And this is true for the downstairs and the upstairs?
Exactly.
Okay.
And these 3 modules, it's actually like 2.5.
Okay.
It concentrates all the plumbing, electrical in there because we cared about, okay, let's make this absolutely the simplest. So the bathroom is on the other side. Therefore, you have all those connections there. And you can get a hint of so just now I turned on, there's a hose bib outside that we just turned on. So that's our little access panel. But you can kind of see it. It's got insulation. You can see some plumbing and water in it. Mm-hmm. And if you dig around, there's some wires in there too. We cover it with a wallow panel cover at Menards.com. Okay, some notable features. So we've got a combination washer dryer. So this is our combination washer dryer, meaning that you put in the clothes to wash and dry just in one. So you put them in there, you turn it on, it washes them, and it dries them after that. So it's a combination dryer. It's expensive, but also high efficiency, low water use. So this runs, once again, off the grid as well in terms of electrical power. Water, we're connected to the grid on this particular house. Though we are going to do eventually closed loop water systems where part of the biodigester and greenhouse recycles your water to do things where the house is absolutely autonomous for applications such as Mars or the moon. So cabinets. We actually made these, so Katerina designed these. These are very basic kinds of cabinets. You get a nice shower trim. It's pretty cool. We like the bathroom. It's all cool. So next time we're gonna go with, we got beadboard. It's called beaded plywood. That was actually a lot of work to finish because all those little cracks. I had to paint it like several like 3-4 coats. So it was insane. We're gonna go with drywall, which is industry standard. It's much easier on the labor. So if someone wants beadboard, you gotta pay us more because that's way too much work. Okay, the toilet, the regular toilet. The unique feature being 2 water supplies, including a hot water bidet. How's that for the industrial hippies? Let's go upstairs. Once again, the kinetic switches throughout. So for example, all of these, they're wireless. You got the fan, you got the lights, and the main light. Once again, same as below. Once again, the utility wall stretches these basically 3 modules, and then downstairs, which are the most complicated walls with a lot of the electrical plumbing and including fans for the shower. So those are like the core utility modules. And in the builder crash course, we're going to go through all that. There's very detailed documentation down to every single part, visual bills of materials, full CAD, down to every wire, everything like that. Every single stud is in there, which means the house is actually designed. It's not like architects do not design houses, they do house concepts with the general layout, but everyone else, all the trades, figure out where everything goes. So here, in this case, this is not a standard architecturally designed house. It's actually, you can call it digital design, where you can do things now, you know exactly where everything goes, and you can do things like start to 3D print parts. You got it in full CAD. You can print some of these modules or non-structural members like trim using 3D printers, boxes. So imagine a wall module that's got like all the electrical boxes printed in there, even the PVC printed in there. It's all there, ready to go. We're working on that. So, and that's how you get the cost down. Automate it. Lower the cost, just like other animals that don't have to worry about housing. Humans can join that league too. First bedroom, so here you see the notorious lack of closet, which has been pointed out by everybody who went through the house. So we're going to put the closets in, actually. We're giving up, we're going to put them in.
It borrow some space from the bathroom.
Yeah.
Become a closet.
Probably I would say maybe just do a whole, just put a wall in there. There you go.
Yeah.
Or maybe like a thin closet back here. Like a long thin closet, maybe?
Yeah, either one would work.
Yeah. So that's bedroom 1. Bedroom 2. So here, for example, have very simple heating cooling system. So downstairs we have the heat pump, which cools and heats the entire house. We blow the hot or cold air through simple register vents like this. They're remote control. You can automate that. To make it a smart house, by the inverter and by the main electrical, what we want to do is a smart control module. So basically on-off timers and things where you can, through the internet, turn things on and off, such as, for example, at night, you don't need any electricity at all, but you got all these parasitic loads like your internet, fridge, or whatever. We can turn absolutely all of that off. Now I said fridge and freezer. How do you do that? How do you get off grid on a fridge and freezer? How about this? Get a big chest fridge, regular fridge, with a large ice compartment. You don't need to keep that thing on once the sun goes down. If you have a big ice compartment that you fill with a lot of ice, that's going to keep your fridge at exactly the right temperature overnight. Solve that. Any freezer, if it's more than half loaded, it keeps it cool for about 24 to 48 hours. Turn that thing off at night. That's a smart control system. Do that, and you would go a long way to off-grid in terms of electricity. So standard on all these houses, because we can build lower cost, we put 6 kilowatts of PV on this one. And on the larger houses, more than 2,000 square footers, we're going to do 12 kilowatts of photovoltaics. What's the limit of that? The limit is that you're generating solar hydrogen for your solar hydrogen internal combustion engine cars in the future. And we're going to develop that as part of the CD to Home project. third bedroom here. Oh, there's a nice yoga deck. What else? So we have one like this in our other house. I do my yoga up there. We got a nice backyard here, so you can build another.
You could have potted plants, or you could do all kinds of things with those things. Yeah.
One thing I didn't mention yet is the expandable nature of this house. For example, here, this is structurally enough. If you want to actually turn this into a room, you can. You can build up on the third floor. It's a flat roof with the photovoltaics, and there's a little secret door. You don't see it here, but this module here is framed for a door. So if you want to do an expansion of the house to another 1,000 square feet, so this is 1,375 square feet right now. If you want to do an addition to the back, there's a pre-framed door, so all you gotta do is knock it out. There's also, actually behind the tub, there's a spare water line expansion, so that if you build next door, all you gotta do is cut yourself out a little hole where that line is and pull it out, and you've got water to the next section. So we're thinking just a little bit like you definitely want to allow for expansion as your family or as your needs grow. Also, the window modules, any of the windows are framed such that it can be readily retrofitted with a door. It's the same 36-inch rough opening kind of stuff. Yeah. Okay, that's about all. Any questions?
The outer frame that's at the top of the roof, like that piece that's set out, what's the idea with that, huh?
Aesthetics, that's all it is.
Okay.
And it was very hard to do.
Okay.
I actually installed that myself. It weighs about 800 pounds,
Oh.
so I used 4 winches.
Okay. Yeah,
I
probably
hung it off the
heavy
roof.
altogether, right?
It was a little engineering job because you have to make sure that thing doesn't fall.
Yeah.
I'm proud of that, but that's not entry-level work, and we're not going to do that in the real builds because that's not entry-level skill sets. So we're going to go with standard overhang roofs. And now that we got the DIY trusses that we're doing, it's very easy for us now to go to 24 feet, even 32 feet, just like that. Whereas the lumber now, when you get past 20 feet, lumber goes exponentially expensive. So if the 20 might be, say, $30 for a 2x12, the 24 is going to be more like 60. So, but with the trusses, it's just a small increment upon the former cost, and they're actually going to be several times lower cost than what we would have been able to do with regular lumber. Question? Barry? What kind of questions arise? And this is just a beginning, so this is our very first build. A lot of learnings in terms of what people want and not, and we had no idea that people actually have very firm ideas of what they do want. We were looking at more as a very low-cost starter home, but that wouldn't really work because we found out as part of it, there's hierarchies even in small towns. And if you build here, you can only build what everyone else is building. Otherwise, you're not going to sell the house. For example, a low-cost house, a more expensive house wouldn't sell. What about building a lower cost house? Well, first of all, you have to do a minimum of 1,000 square feet. But the second thing is, it's actually questionable whether, I don't know, you're pretty much reduced to building whatever is around. And why would you think, say I want to build, what if I were to build, so this one's selling for $250,000 because that's what houses around here are selling for. If we sold it for less, somebody would take it and flip it on the market and make the money that we gave up. So that's a practical issue right there. So what if we actually designed and built a much less expensive house? Now here we actually finished it out pretty nice, good finishes, high quality construction throughout. If we did lower than that, well, we could only do that by reducing the house size. And then the price would still be high? I don't know. If we build,
has to fit in the right category, yeah, because there's all different kinds of categories and sizes and price ranges, and that's kind of a tricky thing.
I'm actually going to the point that, if I try to build a instead of a $250,000 house, if we built a house that sold for $120,000, I suspect the city would actually block it.
Maybe so.
It would be a smaller house. Because I can't explain right now. I don't have my logic about it. I'm forgetting the actual logic, but the facts are that it is extremely difficult to go either higher or lower in a given environment. Here, it's actually a neighborhood. All the houses are kind of similar price range. They kind of look similar. If you do try to do something of an outlier, it's like you either don't sell, or it's too much, or they run you out of town, or something. I don't know.
It gets too far away from the average, yeah? Too high or too low, too big or too small.
But you'd be saying like, okay, if I want to just build a $120,000 house, why wouldn't I be able to do it?
Exactly. That's what I think too, yeah.
I think that must depend completely on me, right? So then I guess if we were to, I don't have a clear answer, but I have to think about that one a little more. Like, why will nobody, and that's a good question to the audience. If you're in an area where every house sells for $250K, why are you not going to build a house that sells for $120,000? Question to the audience. Let's have a discussion on that. Because I think in practice it's actually very difficult. I also think that an ethical player, which we claim to be, we could do that. But I suspect for us the practical reason right now is if we know that we can sell it for $250 and people want that at that price, why don't we build to that instead of building to $120? And then are we locking out the person that's at $120K, the lower income person? Probably. And I think we're probably guilty of everything else that goes on in that case. Because it's like there's classism everywhere. In a poor neighborhood, in a rich neighborhood, there's classism everywhere. That's one of the funny things I found out even in Maysville, a small town in the middle of nowhere. You get hierarchies too. It's just amazing. There's a lot of social pressure to conform to whatever's around.
Yeah.
If you want to be a brave person, you can definitely break it. But I think for us, I mean, we'll get into this long discussion on this point, but I think it's literally that we were just like anybody else. If we can build a house for $250K, why are we building a house for $120K? So that's off mission. We're not doing affordable housing. But we are going to. So this was our very first house. Part of it, I think, was actual financial pressure. We spent more than $250K on this house, if you consider our time, the years of development and all that. So I think part of that, for the explicit reason for us, was that we need to recoup some revenue from this, and try to get to actual cash flow operation where we're not relying on foundations or anything else. So that's the core part of this economic model. That's part of it too. But there could be places where, if we've got volunteer labor or people who build their own house from our blueprints, you can absolutely right now take $40,000, take our financial independence package, build yourself a house in 6 weeks for $40,000 in materials. That's you doing it. If you want to have somebody else do it, you're going to pay way more. So I think the only solution to the housing thing is if you get involved. I think that's the bottom line. Otherwise, other people are going to be charging whatever they want. They have a huge advantage. Housing is absolutely necessary, so you're completely dependent, and you're going to pay whatever the market offers. So unless you step in and break that cycle, I think there's always going to be a housing shortage. That's kind of my opinion on that right now. And we can help that. We can help by, here's super easy to build houses. Here's programs where you can build your house under our guidance in 6 weeks and things like that. And of course, everything here is open source, so you can get involved in that. Yeah.
So is this house is your example of what you're doing with your module stuff, right?
It's an example of the modular construction method where we can build the modules in the workshop and then assemble them rapidly into place. That you can do no problem. The real difficulty is all the finish work, but also in 24 people building this in 5 days, yes, including all the finish work. And that means about 1,000 hours per house. If you take 24 people working, an 8-hour day of that, if you multiply by the people, is about 200 hours, human hours per day. So 5 days is 1,000 hours. And our records indicate, I took very explicit data on all the times, we're at around 1,000 hours. And that's not an entry-level person. That's an entry-level person might take 4,000 hours, 5,000 hours, or never finish. Here you talk about people who actually have skills. 1,000, I think, is a very realistic production number. If you go into, okay, I'm going to build this for the first time myself, but I'm going to finish, easily double or triple that. So those are the real figures that we have observed so far.
Questions?
Won't you give